Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, this is 1987's Punk Vacation. Never heard of this film before until Vinegar Syndrome brought it to my attention. Punk Vacation, here's a couple screenshots here, and a middle finger cactus and a hand here. Pretty wild image. Never heard of this film before. 1987. Your perception of the film might not actually be what the film is. And this is definitely a case here. You see the cover, you see the artwork, you see the font for the title, and you think Punk Vacation. This is going to be a wild 80s punk type film. And in many ways, you have that. But in many ways, it's not what you're expecting at all. Punk Vacation is filled with 80s synth music and 80s vibes to the music, and there's a real emphasis on the music, especially as the movie goes on, and most notably in the climax of the film. It seems to be even more music to me. The movie really exists in this world of dark and light, with tones of dark and light, vibes of dark and light. It exists in worlds of fun and not fun in terms of the serious nature of the storyline. But we have this serious nature of the storyline, and then we also have fun. You know, the interesting thing about Punk Vacation is that it's not what you're expecting. As I mentioned before, we have elements of pain, vengeance, war, kind of hatred, and almost in a way class struggle, small town, invaders, perceptions, fighting. This is a film that the punks were so unexpected to me. The way that they spoke, the look of some of them, the relationships between each other, the way that they functioned and the ways that they did things, just really bizarre. Even the leader of the group, just not what you're expecting. It's really interesting. There were words being said, there were actions being done that were just, I was like, well, this is really weird. Talking about historical battles, talking about kind of philosophizing about historical wars or historical perspectives. I mean, really, really interesting. And at times, you're really not exactly sure how to process or to take the film. Serious darkness versus lighthearted 80s camp or fun, and it's all mixed in here. We have elements of tension, we have elements of, you know, brokenness and family and the corruption of the innocent, and there's some really interesting things going on here, and it's a weird and wild film. You know, the vacation is not, that's also not the definition that you're expecting in Punk Vacation. And you really have these elements of two groups, one group versus the other group. And elements of battle. And we have things involving some romance, police officers, vigilante justice, and what's fair, what's what's fair in light of vengeance, in light of justice. You know, interesting things going on here, especially near the end of the film, when somebody could be completely murdered and they are not. And we have violence in this film, and we have a real element. I mean, I could see the movie reflecting the element of crime and criminals against the innocent, and how we process that, how we look at that. There is a older sister in this film with short blonde hair who, you know, what can I say? It's really interesting. It's almost as if the film focuses on it in a way, and they should. She has an amazing body, thicker, awesome butt. You see her in her panties a lot, and in this like nightgown in this one scene when her cop boyfriend's sleeping on a couch. But she's just like kind of running through the hills in her white panties, and they're kind of dirty, and her thighs, and I mean, she really looks amazing, especially if you're looking for a fuller 80s girl. And the punks are expected but also not expected in their looks, so it's really, really interesting, especially the lead. They almost look a bit older at times. And it says in the back here, an epic battle between punks and rednecks. You know, you do have elements of stereotypes and elements of hatred and fighting in this movie, but how it reflects in real life as well. And a weird ending, a weird climax to the film, which kind of represents what I was talking about in terms of the mix of tones in Punk Vacation. A very unexpected film. It's not what you're thinking. It's not that film Suburbia, which I'm going to be looking at in the future. Not the modern one, you know, the punk one from, I believe, the early 80s. I think it's the early 80s. But it's not a typical punk film, not even like Repo Man or anything like that. It really has a different vibe, and the vibe is so unique and interesting that it's hard for me to explain. This is 1987's Punk Vacation. This is really a unique experience, and one that will really stupefy you as you're watching it. Really, really interesting. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like 1987's Punk Vacation. 87 was a great year. We have some really interesting editing going on in here as well. There are some moments where the editing is like flipping and crazy, and there's sections where all of a sudden the screen turns red. I mean, there are some very stylistic touches to the cinematography or the editing of the movie, most definitely. But they're not throughout the entire film. All of a sudden, they just kind of happen, and it reminds you of the weird world of Punk Vacation. Please feel free to follow me at my Vimeo site, where I make my own films and music at www.vimeo.com/poopydiarrhea, POOPYDIARRHEA. Thank you so much, and good night.